Welcome to No Shame in the Home Game, the podcast that cares how your home feels, not looks. I am Lacey, your co-host who is trying. She is. And I'm going to throw it to Sarah, our co-host who I know is also trying, but in my mind, she's always knowing. Hi, Sarah.
Oh, hi, Lacey. Oh, my goodness. So I just heard this today and it was perfect. This person said the gap between knowing and doing. So, boy, do I know a lot of stuff in my head, but that gap between knowing and doing, some days it's big. So
It is. I feel that to my bones as well.
we can only do so much in a day. And as busy working mamas, we think we're capable of doing way more than we usually are. So this is a moment to give yourself permission to accept that you're a human being, because that's what I'm trying to do right now.
I actually think that's a great intro to our episode with Teresa, because I think this knowing and doing is really one of her big pain points in her journey with us.
That is such a good point. I did not intentionally do that, but you're right. It does overlay so well. Because she knows a lot of these solutions or answers, and it's just providing that space for reflection to get really clear on that pain point, to get really clear on what's a realistic solution versus ideally what we'd want to do if we had 40 hours in a day versus 24 hours in a day. So you're right. That's very much Teresa's wanting to do so much more than as humans we're capable of.
Sometimes we quote unquote know what to do, but we only know how to do it in a certain way. I think that's the other thing, that we have to be gentle with ourselves. I feel Teresa so much because I just see so much of myself in her and how she talks about things. But just because you know one way to do it doesn't necessarily mean it's the only way to do it.
And then also let's get really real on that level too, which is as busy working moms, which Teresa also is, the amount of decisions, like we can know a lot, but then we're flooded with how much we know and how many decisions we have to make and how many stressors are going on in our life. That sometimes that's where I come in and a little helping hand, a little bit of guidance, and then that's all you need is just that reframe and that deep breath.
And I think people are going to see themselves very heavily in Teresa's story, just like I have. So just so everybody knows, I am not actually in the content of this episode, the interview part with Teresa, because life, I don't even remember exactly what was happening, but I was like, Sarah, can you do this one yourself? And Sarah confidently said yes. I was very proud of her. So you're not going to hear my voice, but it's not because no one's letting me speak.
I just immediately thought of Dirty Dancing. No one puts baby in the corner. No one.
Yeah. Nobody put
Lacey in the corner. Yeah. When she asked me if I could do it, Lacey has given me so much confidence in my abilities. I was like, yeah, I can do this. I can do this. So that was me. That was me like in my first solo flight without Lacey co-piloting. I can do it, but I don't want to do it without you, Lacey.
I understand. It's a every once in a while thing. But Sarah and I will be back at the end of the episode as usual to do our moment of gratitude. So you will hear my voice again.
Welcome, Teresa. I'm so glad that we were able to connect this morning. Thank you for joining No Shame in the Home Game. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. I'm so glad I made it, that we're making this happen.
Yes. I want to let the audience know that Teresa and I have known each other. I was trying to remember this morning. Is it 12 years? Maybe? Roughly?
Yes.
After 10 years, maybe it doesn't matter.
Shannon was... Right. After 7, I think.
Yeah. So Teresa and I have known each other for a while. And if you hear us slip into very casual conversation, it's because we've gone past all the formalities a long time ago. So I'll start to remember that for the audience. And Lacey is not here with us this morning because life happens and we have to pivot and adapt. And so she has some life happening right now, but she will be with us on the second episode with Teresa. Teresa, if you wouldn't mind sharing a little bit about yourself, where you are in the world, who all lives with you, not only humans, but animals, because they require just as much of attention, and just a brief overview of whatever you feel comfortable sharing.
Sure. I live in Maryland and about an hour and a half from Washington, D.C. Maryland is an interesting state because we're really close to a lot of urban things, but our physical home is in the woods. So we live in the woods, me and my husband and our daughter, who is 12, marking the time that we met each other. And then we have 3 kitties and 1 golden retriever with a lot of hair. We have a lot of hair that floats around our house. Am I missing anything that would be good to mention right now at this moment?
No, I think that's pretty good. And so I can understand and the audience can understand the amount of traffic patterns going on in your house. Hubby works outside of the home 5 days a week, correct?
Actually, he works at home a lot these days.
Oh.
He has the option to work from home when need be, and so he joins a lot of team meetings and stuff from home. So he's in the home a fair bit, but often he's off doing things too. So it's a little unpredictable for his flow about when he's here and when he's not here. And then I work outside of the home. I'm a massage therapist, and so I go down to the DC area and am part of more of an urban setting there. I come and go pretty regularly, and then Shannon goes to school. So she comes and goes to school. And then I ought to mention that she's a figure skater. So we also leave very early in the mornings, a few days a week to get to the rink. So today was one of those days. So we leave the house at about 5:30. That's pretty regular also.
Jeez, yeah. Kudos to you for being willing to get up at 5:30 and wait, you have to be there at 5:30 or you have to leave at 5:30?
We have to leave at 5:30 on weekdays and we have to leave at 4:30 on weekends. Yeah.
I am just going to put that off to the side because I can't even mentally wrap my head around that. So I never realized how long your commute is. You're driving an hour and a half each way to work on top of your workday?
No, actually I drive about 50 minutes, but I always allow for an hour. The spa that I work for is north of DC, but we're just really close to that kind of urban energy, basically, in that we're an hour and a half from the actual Washington, DC spots. But yeah, my work is about 50 minutes away.
So when you do a work day, I'm just thinking you have to automatically add 2 hours. So are you working, like how many hours are you usually at the spa? 8?
I've been actually working into the 10-hour day. I'm working for 10 hours. I take breaks during that time, but I'm away from the house for about 12 hours.
And how many days a week?
3 definite days. Sometimes it's 4.
And the early morning rink day.
Yes. Now, I mentioned that also because work and ice skating are really close to the grocery store. And I make it part of the routine to add a lot of grocery store joy and chaos into a lot of this driving.
That's a good near the grocery store. Yes. And that's a little highlight. So we already know what Teresa's pain point is. Sometimes with contestants, it takes some uncovering to find what's the source of the discomfort, which is part of the journey with you. You came to me and said, I know what my discomfort is. Please help me. And I was so honored that you trust me with this. So thank you. But before we get to your pain point, can you tell me a little bit so we understand your background? What was home management like in your house growing up? And we already know it's about food. So if you want to highlight on who did the food preparation, how much were you involved in learning about food preparation growing up, an overview of that.
So my mom did food prep exclusively. I remember my dad making Sunday morning breakfast, and she always did the shopping as well. I have many fond memories of going to the grocery store with my mom as a child. And I have 3 sisters, so there were 4 girls in our family, and doing food prep together was like a dance of a lot of different energy that I will say. So holidays was fun in a way. It was always expected for holidays. Weekdays, my mom was in charge and she made the food, and I could have cared less. I was like, I got more important stuff to do than be in that room. And I stayed away from it as much as possible.
So you saw her doing it, but you weren't necessarily paying attention to how am I going to do this when I'm out on my own type of thing.
If I was paying attention, I was being a contrarian and I wanted to do it better and different. So there was that.
It's so interesting because I have known you for so long. I don't see you as a contrarian. So when I hear these little tidbits about your personality from your family of origin, I'm always like, I don't know that side of you.
I will also tell you that I used to try and get out of the dishes a lot. I tried to get out of the kitchen work as often as possible because I felt I had other more important things to do or other things I was much more interested in. And I paid attention to what my mom was doing a bit, but I was very sure I didn't want to do what she was doing in that room.
So when you left the house and you were out on your own, what did that look like figuring out how to navigate your own food journey? Because there's always that moment where you're like, oh man, nobody's making dinner for me. I have to figure this out for myself.
So I love to buy food. I love to buy food already made. And it brings me a lot of joy that someone else did it. And it's a little bit of my mom almost. Like I feel like I'm being nurtured when someone else made it. I love picking up simple things. I know before I was married, I bought just pre-made stuff from the grocery store. It didn't have to be like an elaborate, like being made for me. But if it was already done, I felt like it was luxurious in a way. Yeah. And I loved going to the grocery store to find things in the beautiful packaging. And if it looked pretty, I was going to buy it. Labels mattered to me a lot more than making it myself, actually. If it looked nice in the package, that was probably going to be a great thing at my house, so I didn't value making it myself. I valued picking it up and having it look lovely, already delivered to me, basically.
So I'm curious, ideal, if there were no obstacles, would your ideal solution be just having meals just delivered to your house every day? And then, okay, so if that's the ideal, she's shaking her head vehemently, yes. So if that's the ideal, and I'm the same, I say I love whatever food I didn't make because, yeah, I'm right there with you. And then, so the next step being those kits that they send where it's like all the ingredients and the recipe is right there. How much joy or not joy?
No joy. I've tried it a little bit. I hate the packaging.
Okay.
And that's my only experience is that it came with too much packaging, and I just couldn't feel good about that. So
Okay.
I didn't like that. And this may be jumping a little bit, but I will tell you that I have tried. So one of the things I love about the spa work and the mention of it's in a more urban area is right around the spa is the grocery store that has pickup. And I have finally learned to use that. And then across the street, there's lots of across the streets because it's in one of those planned shopping, outdoor, sidewalky experiences. There are about 6 restaurants, and I have my favorites. And I love picking up food for the family there. I have come to find out that's too expensive for the budget, so I've dialed it back. But I was on cloud 9 that twice a week I was buying things and bringing it home. And unfortunately, no one shared my joy of this as much as me. The salad from Sweet Greens wasn't quite the right meal. The pizza that I got wasn't quite the right pizza. A few other things felt a little too expensive that weren't that tasty either. I haven't nailed it, although I've got one Greek restaurant that I can bring things home from, and there's a win on that one right now.
Oh, what do you get from the Greek restaurant? I love Greek food.
Gyros and the Spanish pie.
Yes.
Spinach
okay.
pie. Sorry, spinach pie.
Yes. And when we're talking, so just so we can clearly define for the audience, we already know that food, meal prep, meal planning, executing, everything around food is the pain point for you. And are we primarily talking dinner or is it also breakfast, lunch?
It's primarily dinner. Lunches are a little bit more regular and a little bit more regular. I always eat leftovers. My husband is very happy with certain cycles of sandwiches and other kind of things you can put in a lunchbox. My daughter is hit or miss, but I do ask her to make the choices for that. And then we just go from there. That doesn't feel as painful, the lunch, although, yeah, that one doesn't feel as painful. The dinner feels more painful.
Okay. And breakfast is smooth sailing.
Breakfast is not something that we do well with as a family. We don't eat breakfast so much. And if we do, it's also pretty routine. It's eggs. It's an egg breakfast. And we have
Okay.
oatmeals and then some cereals. And yeah, but that one doesn't have to have as much variety, basically.
So going back, so let's focus on dinner now that we know what we don't have to worry about. Dinner, 10-hour days plus 2 hours of driving. You're not making dinner when you get home, are you?
No,
Okay.
I'm not.
How does that look?
So also I get home late, like 9:00. So dinner had to already have happened. And some days, like today, I don't have to start until, so this is not a 10-hour day, it's an 8-hour day plus the drive. So I try to make the dinner before I leave because I don't have to leave until 10:30.
Oh, make dinner before you leave on your 8-hour days, but not your 10-hour days.
Oh, no, I try even on those 10-hour days that there's a try for that. Or sometimes it's like the pizza, like tonight, actually, the pizza's getting left and they have to make the pizza. And I did buy the pizza.
And are you doing a different dinner every night, or do you ever lean on leftovers?
I love leftovers, but they're usually my lunch. So,
Okay.
and my family does not like leftovers. So I do not lean on leftovers for same day, but I will lean on making spaghetti and meatballs, say on Monday, and then on Friday, I'm making a smashed meatball into the sauce, putting it over like manicotti or something like that, and then throwing that in the oven or getting it ready to be put into the oven. So it doesn't take, sometimes those don't take too much time.
Okay. Okay. So you're open to piggybacking on a previous meal to get you through.
I definitely do piggyback, and I like that idea because I noticed that the big recipe I was trying to make on Sunday that I kept procrastinating on was not available for me to piggyback on. I made like a stew. I'm like, now what do you do with stew the next day if no one's going to eat it any other time of this week, or it's not good to heat up? So I really do rely on that. And sometimes I also make a double batch of something and I throw it in the freezer, and then it's easy for me to do that meal again in 2 weeks when it's been forgotten about.
Perfect. I love this. Okay. This is where I get really excited because what I see when I'm asking all these questions is I see a riddle that definitely has a solution. And what we have to do is keep getting more and more pieces of information that either block out a path or open up another path. And so asking all these questions are really important. Making a double batch and freezing it, you're already used to that. And that is such an awesome tool. Knowing that you eat your leftovers the next day, that's great to know that you have time to sometimes prepare before the day. This is all helpful. And I want to iterate for people listening, food is so easy to dismiss, to downplay, but we all need it. We all need food in our bellies. There's so much emotion around food, either enjoying it or not enjoying it, just feeling like you are eating a meal that is satiating you. There really is just so much. So it is important. I know some people I've worked with, especially just, oh, it's just food. But it's just, but you can't eat oatmeal 3 times a day, 7 days a week and not start to have some feelings about it. And as we've seen, your family has preferences. You have preferences, which I know is part of who wants what. So we're going to figure this out. The next question I have, so batch freezing, piggybacking, leftovers. Okay, my next question was, how do you and how does your family feel if you had, this is just an example, it's not going to be the solution, but what if every 7 days of the week, every day was a theme, like soup on Mondays, tacos on Tuesday, Friday is pizza. And if every week you repeated that, would that feel good or not good?
It's like I knew you were going to ask me this. No, I'm kidding. But I have started doing some of that. So on Wednesday, not Tuesday, we have tacos. Everybody likes those these days. And yes, they don't complain about that. So I take no complaining, and sometimes they even say yay. They don't know that it's Wednesday tacos. Except I have been saying it's Wednesday, so we're going to have tacos and we're going to have a family night kind of thing. There is this theme that the joyful meal becomes the meal that I can rally some family time around, where can we do it a little different tonight? Can we play a game like mommy's home tonight? So let's do something mommy wants to do. And it starts out with, I have a meal that you all are going to. So yes, the routine does not seem to bother them. It can't be a same meal 2 nights in a row, no leftovers, but a schedule for the week would probably be welcomed. I will tell you that I am not a fan. I'm not very good with routine over and over again. I am one of those people let's just be spontaneous. Let's make whatever. But that doesn't roll so well in my household. And then I don't find so much joy out of nobody really ate the sushi rolls that we played with for 2 hours and had fun with. That's not enough. Then we have to try something again. So anyway, yes, I guess the answer to the question is yes, it would be helpful to have a routine, but the mommy is a little resistant to the routine. I got Wednesdays and tacos, and I have a couple things that I throw in there that I like. And I don't mind them grumbling if maybe they'll take charge and do the food, because there's a lot of days of food. And I already told you that breakfast is a bit of a non-topic. Lunches are set. They're not happening invisibly. I'm doing them. I do those lunches, and I do them in the early morning hours. So I get Shannon to help me, but I enjoy making lunch for my husband. We've been doing it for a long time. I love seeing him take a lunchbox off. I like the routine of making a warm drink for us, making those sandwiches. I have started to food prep them, even like making egg salad, making tuna in a batch so I have enough for the week, getting deli meat at pivotal times in the week. And I'm over the food thing after about 3 meals of dinner and all those lunches. So,
Okay. And I want to highlight something here. And I'm hearing everything and I'm taking it in, and finding the perfect solution is about what works best for you, the family, taking in all those elements, and also a bit of, I don't want to say compromise because that has a negative connotation, but there also is a little bit of shifting expectations. So when you say you don't like to have those repeat meals every week, I hear that like contrarian young Teresa. Don't tell me that I have to have tacos every Wednesday. But then when you just said tuna salad, egg salad, batching, getting the deli meat, what I heard in that was very much a pattern and repetition that sounds like it's not a lot of work because you are repeating things. So if you can see how that's a path of less resistance and maybe repetition every week, but with variety. Does that make sense?
yes.
For dinner.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm noticing that I want to get to that level of function and ease that I do with lunches. The win for me is to get that way with dinner.
Yes. But do you see that might entail having some repetition?
It will require some bending. Yes. Some changing. Yes.
Okay. But we're not going to squash that free spirit, Teresa. Like that, we're not squashing that. We're going to make room for that in the repetition. So I think of everything I do with home management as scaffolding, right? Nobody wants to do anything without some sort of support, but you don't have to stick to it. It's a framework that is there if you need it.
So I'm laughing because I have not articulated this. This is really fun about working with you on this. So one of my joys in letting go of the repetition. Okay. So yes, let me just first say yes. The scaffolding sounds really supportive and really wise. And I am ready to get to work on that. And then you'll probably appreciate this about me. I'm ready to attract it in. I'm ready to attract the dinner, be in flow. My greatest joy is not knowing a plan and then nailing it at the last minute. Be like, I manifested that. I did that with my intention to read the scene of the story in the moment and be like, that was fun. That little, I didn't know how it was going to work out. And look, it came together beautifully because I just listened to the energy.
Okay, what I'm hearing there, I am laughing so hard. I feel like you're playing the equivalent of high stakes gambling. If you picture Las Vegas, 2 a.m, somebody's got $100,000 on the line going, I don't know if I'm going to get this back or lose it all. It's like you're doing the equivalent of that with dinner. You're like, I don't know. It's either going to work out and feel amazing or it's going to hit the fan and feel horrible. Do you see the precipice?
I do. And I'm laughing because seriously thinking of my sisters who are like, what are you, nuts? Why would you do that with family dinner? I'm like, how I roll. It's who I am.
Okay. And this is so important. That's why I love my work. That's who you are. And you love that part. And I also know how much discomfort it's causing you.
Yes, absolutely.
Because I've
really
been talking to you.
Yeah, no, it's so true.
I'm not coming in saying, I want you to change. I want you to be somebody else. I want you to have this rigid structure. I'm not saying that. You've brought to me, because we are friends and we talk all the time, you brought to me this discomfort that I know is draining your emotional energy, your physical energy, and as you pointed out yourself, a lot of money sometimes when you're picking up a lot of carryout food. So what we want to do is find the balance between freewheeling Teresa and completely drained, frustrated, exhausted, I don't care about food, get out of my face, Teresa. We want to find, that's our goal, is to find that moment of enough structure so you don't get exhausted, but enough freedom so that you can get that $100,000 Las Vegas on the line feel when it happens.
I hope this is not too off topic, but even with the lunch routine, some of that intuitive energy joy is, what am I going to pick? The tuna, the egg salad, or the deli meat today? Which one have I manifested? I did this and that. Like there's still joy and like in those picks, right? So I have to see that like having a wide open, there is nothing planned for dinner and I'm rolling home. This happened last night for sure. Girl Scout meeting and I'm the Girl Scout leader, rushing through traffic after my day's work. And then I don't know what the heck I'm going to make for dinner. And there's really not a lot to choose from that I'm aware of. I'm like, oh, I'll pick something up. I'm like, there's no time to pick anything up. So I'm like, what are you going to make? I'm like, grilled cheese. And I said grilled cheese. And my husband was like, oh, okay, I'll have whatever you guys are having if it's mac and cheese. I'm like, ooh, that's a better idea. I'm going for the mac and cheese. It was 6:00. It was 6:00. I'm getting home and I had no idea what I was making. And the fact that I did the win on that, I'm like, no, that was a win. I love those days.
Y'all, Home CEO is finally here. The work you hear me do with participants in No Shame in the Home Game is based off of the Home CEO course. Watch the course at your own pace and learn how to problem solve your pain points and find solutions that work for you. Along with the how-to course are guided worksheets. There are solutions for your situation. Sign up for the course at joyfulsupportmovement.com and start finding your solutions today. Joy sharing is joy magnified. Let that joy ripple out into the world by sharing this podcast with a friend. If something made you laugh, smile, feel joy in any way, let a friend know today and spread all those good feels around. Okay, perfect. Okay, think about, if people listen to me enough, they know I am the analogy queen because I see things and images in my head. So stick with me. You drive to Washington, D.C.
Almost.
50 minutes.
Yes.
Do you have a route planned? The first time you did it, did you look at a map and plan out a route? Or did you get in your car and go, I know it's roughly east of here. I'll just start driving. Which one? No, honestly, which one did you do?
So funny to me, but okay, no, I obsessively like did the GPS on how many minutes and what route to take. Yeah, I know I did the map thing.
Do you do the same drive since you started working there? Have you done the exact same drive every time?
Except the one day that I got on the wrong highway to
Okay,
Baltimore
but
instead of DC. But yeah, I do every day take the same route.
okay. If you had an extra 20 minutes and there was a beautiful side road, could you get off and go, I'm going to drive by the horses today? Or I'm going to take the long way to get on the highway because there's a
yes.
beautiful water over here. You have that choice, right?
Yes.
But you also have the path of least resistance, which is the road you've taken every day. But you're not confined. Your path to work is the path of least resistance, and you always have the option to take the alternate routes. But you don't have to think about it on the days that you don't want to think about it.
That's right. And there's a lot of, I actually am very attached to my drive. I like I like what it gives me in terms of the time to do certain other things. And the fact that I have that, like, yes, I did not think of that before, but the fact that I could enjoy, say, like cooking with Shannon. Now, I will say that my daughter is very good in the kitchen. So giving her a pain point about, oh, there's nothing to eat. Why don't you create something is often a success for her and an opportunity. But what if I could know what we're making and we got to play with, say, making dessert? Because she literally was talking me through that recipe on Sunday. Come on, Mom, you can do it. Come on. I'm like, it's not gonna come out right. Read the recipe to me. What am I doing next? Oh my gosh. That was not great mothering, to be honest. Because she was mothering me through creating a new recipe. And I'm like, where's my taco night? That's what I was looking at for.
Okay. And this is great. You're a massage therapist. You know, muscles have the amazing ability to do so much. But if they get in a stuck pattern, they are not doing what they're capable of. And it's actually uncomfortable to even attempt some range of motion. Right? So when you get to that point, just not working.
Yeah.
So really think about what you were saying. You enjoy doing the lunch. You get to have a hot drink. You get to decide what to pick. And your drive, you have that time. You don't have to think too much. So let's think about trying on a few things to allow you those feelings of ease, but still have some choices. And what's great is nothing is permanent. We're not tattooing your face. We're just going to try. We're just going to try some things on. And then you take what feels good. As our friend Erin always says, you take what feels good and you leave the rest.
Exactly.
And that's all we're doing is trying things on. So I love that your daughter she enjoys, she's not only good at it, but she enjoys doing things in the kitchen. And your husband, does he enjoy any part of food prep, grilling, baking, picking up? None of the above. Okay.
No.
That's fine. So let's use our resources wisely. Okay.
Oh, actually, wait. He does like going grocery shopping every
Oh.
couple of months to get stock up things that make he and Shannon happy. They do enjoy going to Target. I shouldn't say no about that. Yeah, there is and sometimes that can lead to, oh, I had no idea that you wanted such and such in the house. So every few months, he will do like a stock up. It becomes like a family thing. And I'm not really there getting anything. I'm just watching and being like, what else could you use?
So what I love about that is knowing, to me, I see this great little pocket solution of Richard does going out every now and then and doing these stock ups with Shannon. And it sounds like it's like a their thing. Shannon does have some strength and desire in the kitchen. And on top of that, you've got some days where you're not coming home until 9 p.m. See this really cool space for them to be able to buy what they need for those nights have this recipe. You can prep a couple things and Shannon can execute.
That
And she's going to learn these skills for when she's on her own.
Yes, that has been my goal for the last 6 months, is that it'll become a
Perfect.
thing for them if I do less or even do it in a supportive way. What can I help you do for Tuesday and Thursday when we know mommy's not going to be home and you're not
So
going out and
Tuesday,
about where you're going to
Thursday.
be getting the food too? Because, there's a lot of, oh, mommy's not home, we'll just stop at Chick-fil-A or McDonald's or something like that.
Okay, perfect. So Richard and Shannon night. Okay. And then, so put a little side note on that. You'll get some homework
Okay.
so that we can do this. And part of that is going to be, and you don't have to write this down, I'll let you know, really finding out from them. It's a fact-finding mission. What meals do they like that you don't?
Oh, very many. Okay.
Perfect. Perfect. And then from that, we're going to figure out, okay, what kind of prep steps can be done to help those? So Shannon is not spending an hour in the kitchen, but rather she's putting it together for 15 minutes and letting it bake or something. So we're going to unravel that. That is so beautiful. And then when you already said Wednesdays, you like to do tacos, right?
Yes, because Wednesdays I keep as I don't work that day. I just really stay away from saying yes to any work on that day.
We were all promised a village to get support in our everyday lives, and sometimes that doesn't happen. There's this big gap between telling your friends what's going on in your life and waiting for an appointment with your therapist. That's why Sarah and I have developed the Joyful Support Movement Village. The Village is a place for peer support, resources, and connection with those who are like-minded and want to do joyful support together. You also get to have some fun bonus content from No Shame in the Home Game, Sharing the Middle, and Pops of Joy. We cannot wait for you to join us in the Village. You can do so at joyfulsupportmovement.com. If you love No Shame in the Home Game, we want to hear about it. Take a few moments today and give us a 5-star review on your podcasting platform of choice. This helps others find the show so we can help everyone feel good in their home.
Knowing your free spirit and that you want to explore, what if Sunday was a recipe exploration day and that's when you try new things?
Yeah, that does sound really good. It's also the pain point because I get afraid. We've talked about this. I get afraid that the recipe's not going to work. I'm going to have wasted my time, or I didn't do well in the kitchen on a new thing. So, yes, this is a good place to have some homework.
Okay, I want to explore that a little bit. Yes, you talked about the quote unquote failing, which I have a lot of feelings around the word failing. I grew up thinking I was failing at everything. I've had to really embrace what failure is and looks like and perfection. And when I walk into clients' homes and they say, I've tried everything and nothing works, I say, well, you haven't tried everything, but what you have done is eliminated a lot of things that didn't work, which is great because you've just narrowed down the possible solutions. So it's not failure. It's more pieces of information. So let's take the stew, for example. What did you like about what drew you to the stew recipe?
2 things. One of my coworkers made some version of the stew and it looked and smelled lovely. It included meat and I was using the Instant Pot. I thought, oh, I can check a box on making some protein meat in a tool. And it could become easy because I know that the Instant Pot can make things happen nicely, easily. I do use that occasionally. So those are the things that drew me to it. It was like, oh, I could have something on my map, basically. I could have something in my scaffold that you're talking about where I could plug this in and it would work well. And it would serve my needs to like have vegetables and meat and no cheese. I'm looking for recipes without cheese that my family will eat because there's too much of that in the mix. There's too many easy things with cheese in it. So I don't know, it was like and I knew I could add more vegetables to it because I always know what I like to do to make the meal pleasant for me. Add arugula, add spinach, add something with more colors, a little bit of what they're eating and a lot of those other colors, and I'm so happy. So it seemed like it could be modifiable for all of us if I could get a win on something that didn't take a lot of time but was a nice meal different than the other stuff.
And what about it felt like a win, and what about it felt like not a win?
What about it felt like a win? It was really nice to cook with Shannon in the kitchen. That was nice. I did really enjoy that, and that we were making a meal together. She wasn't making that recipe with me, but she made side things for the dinner. So I really did love that. And then it felt like a win because I do think that it came out as tender beef, which can be hard for me to arrive at. So it could be repeated. It felt like it didn't go so smoothly because I kept resisting it so much. I had bought this brisket that I had in the freezer for way too long. I'm like, that has got to be used. And the price tag on it was, because it was so much, I was really uncomfortable with how much money I had spent. And what if it didn't come out tenderly? What if the meat wasn't tender and couldn't be eaten? Big waste. And that was feeling scary for me in my levels of discomfort around the kitchen. That was feeling scary to me. Another wasted food attempt and resource. So I felt like it was that day or I was throwing it away because I had taken it out of the freezer probably 3 times. And I don't even know if that's safe. Like, thaw it, freeze it again. I'm like, oh, I didn't do it. I've tried this recipe now. It's probably been 2 months. That piece of meat was in the freezer. It's been 3 weeks that I've thought about it. I'm wasting my energy thinking about this recipe. And that felt like, why couldn't it just be easy? Like a amazing intuitive dinner, like a massage. That was all my great intuitive energy just coming together. It wasn't like that. It was like, this is work. It's a lot of resistance in me to get here, to pressing whatever that button is on the Instant Pot that says, finally, it's just gonna pressure cook.
And how did it taste?
Okay, I didn't love it, to be honest. Really, I didn't love it. Look at your face.
And your family?
I don't know if they were just
that's okay.
being nice, because on Sundays when I try new things, I think that they know that this is not my best moment. Shannon was like, it's good, Bobby, it's good. She's saying it's good. I'm going to visualize it's the truth. And they ate it. They would not eat it if it wasn't good. They would actually not eat it. So I guess it was good. Enough. For a try.
There's so much fertile ground here, and I'm really excited. I've written down so many notes. First of all, do you have a crock pot?
No crock pot, just an Instant Pot.
Okay, I am not as familiar with an Instant Pot. My neighbor is. But what I love about crock pots is you throw it together in the morning. It just cooks all day. The meat is usually very tender.
I know. I wish I could wrap my head around it, but we have this fire hazard concern. And I know my mom used to cook things, but because I'm also forgetful, we don't love it when Teresa leaves something going and forgets to turn it off.
But you know what? That's fine because I know the Instapot can do what the crock pot does in a shorter amount of time. So that's fine and that's valid and I will adapt to that. I'm also seeing an opportunity. Do you feel like your kitchen skills how do you feel comfortable with your kitchen skills, with knowing about seasoning and different cooking techniques? Do you feel like there's room for growth there or are you not interested in growing there? I don't know. You tell me.
There's definitely room to grow. I have this wonderful book called Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat. Do you know that one?
Oh, yes. I don't have it, but I know the author.
Oh,
yes.
So I have learned, I've learned that fat and salt are a good thing to use from just that book. There is room for me to grow, and I do feel inspired by other people. And I also wanted to. You can make note of this. I love working with other people on enhancing my skills. So for example, my sister-in-law, both of my sister-in-laws, and this is not to exclude my own sisters too, but Richard's sisters are very good cooks. And during the pandemic, I reached out to one of them and asked how she made her chicken. And she taught me. It was I will never forget it. I call them volume expanders. It's my Erin thing. It's like, how do I expand the joy in my experience? I bring people in. I love my chicken from Christine. I love it. I know how to make chicken now.
How often do you do that?
Never now. No, I'm kidding. I have not been making chicken lately. I cannot tell you why. I should rekindle it. But yeah, we got so tired of chicken, but it's reminding me I should put it on the cycle again because I'm complaining about having too much of other things like cheese or something.
So the other thoughts I have, because we're not going to solve it all today.
Yeah.
This has been a fact-finding mission. I'm going to give you some assignments. We're going to come back and discover what we discovered. Maybe I'll give you a couple things to try. But a couple of other notes I had written down. One is the idea of parallel play. I loved learning that idea about kids when they get together. They're not always doing the same thing, but they're doing it together. And you have mentioned, and I know that you prefer a lot more colors and vegetables, less cheese, and the rest of your family would prefer maybe more meat, more cheese, different seasoning, right? So finding some recipes that allow for parallel play, where you get to vegetable it up and spice it up, and they get to meat it up and cheese it up. Tacos are the perfect example. I put mine on a bed of lettuce and I do tons of beans. My husband will do his on a tortilla with more meat. It's the perfect starting place to go in different directions. So some meals like the stew, it's set, right? It's there. Versus finding meals like the chicken, your family could take that chicken and do something with it, and you could take the chicken and do something else with it, but you're all having chicken. And I know this one deeply because my husband is a red meat eater. He would eat it 7 days a week, 3 times a day if he could. And my son is a vegetarian. So I very much am familiar with parallel play. That's why I suggested it. The other thing, I see you as such a confident, intrepid explorer. I've always known you as somebody who just is like, yeah, let's do this. Let's do that. You sent me a picture. You're watching my kid once, and it's Shannon and Jack in the back with the hood down on the convertible. And you're like, we just took a drive with the top down. And it was just like, that was just so Teresa. So there's such an openness to your mindset. But then when I hear you use words like failure, I'm like, oh, that's so not the Teresa I'm familiar with. So there's an opportunity. And maybe it's just an ingrained mindset, but there's an opportunity to shift your mindset around food exploration. How does that feel when I say that?
When you say mindset, I know we're already on the right path. So whatever shifting is necessary is the truth. That's what I just see it as. Yes, that would make sense. As soon as we say mindset, food, exploring, I'm like, why am I so uncomfortable with this? But that is my truth, is that I am uncomfortable about it. And so it's a place to it's why I'm asking for help.
Well, perfect. No, and I love this. And I can really relate to this. I think everyone can, especially the moms in the family, where all of a sudden you feel like you're expected to feed everyone, and likes are always changing, and prices of things are always changing in a store, and your time is always changing. So it affects everyone. And mindset is going to be one of the things that we're going to work on. Some of your homework is going to be collecting information. What are some absolute wins in your book and your family's book, and looking at that. And then going back to the scaffolding example is having staples like tacos. And what I advise, I have a program, a free program people can get on my website, the 10 Steps to Meal Planning Freedom. And one of them is having 3 no-brainers. So no-brainers are, it's always on hand and you don't have to think about it. So for me, that is And I'm just thinking off the top of my head, it doesn't necessarily fulfill everyone's buckets, but for my son, mac and cheese. I always have a box of mac and cheese. I always have butter. I always have milk. And then for the vegetable, we always have carrots. So right there, no brainer meal for my son. Worst comes to worst, bowl of cereal for dinner, if I'm being honest. But some other no brainer meals, because I just always have certain things on hand. Like some nights we do cheese quesadillas, again, with carrots. You can always have frozen meatballs, dry pasta, and jarred sauce, and frozen peas on hand. And then you've got spaghetti and meatballs with peas. So having no-brainers for that night that you described, you came home from a Girl Scouts, it'd been a long day. You need those staples in the house for the no-brainers for when life goes sideways or you had something planned and it didn't work out. And just relieving some of that mental pressure for yourself. So we're going to come up with some staples. We're going to find out some more likes, and we're going to think about mindset. I see a real plan here. I can feel a little bit of nervousness from you. What are you feeling?
I'm looking forward to just going forward with it. All of it sounds really doable. And I know there are places to grow and expand, like after I have more of this like map. It's like, how about the map to my kitchen?
That's perfect. And we're gonna do some information discovery. I think as far as getting this ball rolling, I have such a better
we're rolling
idea.
it.
We
Yeah,
are
me
rolling
too.
it. And I
I'm
am
so-
really excited.
I'm grateful for you, Sarah. This is really helpful to me.
Oh, I loved this. Thank you.
And I also want to say that because I've been a listener of No Shame in the Home Game, I also think back to other suggestions you've made. I'm sorry, I forget the guest's name, but she was living out, like doing a lot with her kids out from the car. And you're like, use the car. I'm like, I need to equip my car with, I am at least getting things in the house as staples, like much better because I can stop by the grocery store at the rink days and like the pickup from Harris Teeter 3 days a week. I have an opportunity to press the button that says pick it up at 3. So I want to make my car like, who is it? Is it Alex?
Alex.
Yeah. So
yes, Alex.
Anyway, so I have some goals around like past episodes.
It's beautiful. And it's all about trying things on, seeing what works, and meeting. This is why my work I do is individual. It's meeting you where you are. It's not a one size fits all, right? You can take attributes of what works for Alex, but probably not all of what Alex is doing. So it's like finding those little nuggets and creating your plan that works for you. And there is a plan and we are going to find it. And that's why we're here. And I'm so excited.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, I hope you all enjoyed meeting Teresa. That was episode 1. We will continue on with her journey in episode 2 after we finish meeting Tyra. It may not be exactly what you're going through, but there might be something that resonates that helps you either feel more comfortable in your situation, give yourself a little bit of, permission to relax, or maybe you'll hear some solutions that also work for you and your household.
We will get back to Teresa in her second episode, and you'll see how her journey continues to evolve and her life continues to evolve. There are new challenges and things that pop up because that's what.
Right? I mean, that is so often when you read or hear solutions, my thought is always, yep, that's perfect in a vacuum. But what about when we're talking about real life? And yes, that's what I love about working with clients is I like reassuring them, no, like this is life. We have to keep finding that solution that works with what's happening because it's never static. We can't freeze frame everything, figure it out, and then push play and resume. Yeah, we have to keep pivoting and adjusting. And yeah, Teresa is the perfect example.
Sarah, as our listeners know, we like to end with a moment of gratitude.
I've got mine. I've actually got a lot, but I'm going to pick one for the sake of time. I love an automatic car wash. It brings me It's like the amount of joy it brings me versus the amount of work to make it happen. It's so disproportionate in a beautiful way that I can't even, like, just thinking about it makes me happy. So I went and got my car washed today, and to have it automatic, you don't have to do anything. It just happens. And then you're in there and it's kind of dark and cozy, and then you emerge and it's just clean. I love those 60 seconds. And I can't even tell you. Usually I sing a happy car wash song. I didn't today. I just savored it. But that was my moment of joy. It was just, I got to get my car washed. And and Lacey's trying not to laugh at me. She really wants to make fun of me, which is fine. Fine.
No, I don't. I'm actually over here. This is how I feel when an automation works.
Okay.
I see the same feeling in you that, like, when I can get technology to do something for me, this is the joy that I have.
But now I understand that you truly do understand the car wash joy that I have.
I really, really can. 100%. I feel it in my bones. I also am giggling at myself because washing my car isn't even on my radar. I'm like, oh, I should do that more often.
To be clear, it's a Christmas gift I receive. It's a 3-month pass, and I use it during the snowy months because we put so much salt on our roads. And then you get that thing where you bump up against your car and then you get white dust all over your clothes. So it really is more of a winter month thing. Yeah. So this is not like a I go once a day thing.
That means you get to savor it more. It's special.
Yes, it is special. Did that trigger moments of joy or gratitude for you?
It didn't, but I did think of one while we were talking. So last week I had to have a medical procedure that I went under anesthesia. And the last time I had this particular procedure, I woke up and I was so angry. Like, I don't often feel like anger in my body, but I remember waking up from the procedure and just feeling anger in my body. So I went into this at this time, like, a little nervous. Is this going to mess with my emotions and all that stuff? And they take me back. And as they're putting me to sleep, the song from the Barbie movie, Dua Lipa, Dance the Night Away song came on. And that's what I went under to. And when I tell you, I can't tell you exactly what happened, but I was a Spice Girl in my anesthesia state. I was Sleepy Spice. I made that joke apparently while I was coming out of it. And as I was coming out of it, I was the happiest, giddiest, most joyful version of myself. And I'm like shooting jokes out left and right. I'm like just the most charming version of myself. The doctor comes back to tell me how it went. And as I was getting put out, he was saying he hadn't seen the Barbie movie. So, like, literally as he's walking away, I'm yelling, "Watch the Barbie movie!" To a very unexpected but delightful experience that I still just giggle about to myself. I kind of want to do like the Adventures of Sleepy Spice now.
Okay. I have so many things going on in my head. Okay. First of all, Adventures of Sleepy Spice, 100% in. Maybe that ties into your romance novel writings. I don't know. Second thing is, what I love about this is, so participant Sarah from season 1, she taught me the phrase, you can't take out the bad, but you can add in the good. And that, to me, it's like, yeah, you had to get this procedure done. Nobody wants to spend their day doing that, right? But you got to add in that joy. And that's like the perfect situation of what I was talking about here with Joyful Support Movement. It's just like, yeah, we got to keep doing life. We're not going to take away that medical procedure, but let's add in a little Sleepy Spice and just make it joyful. I want like the Adventures of Sleepy Spice.
Yeah. She never makes it on stage, but she has great intentions. But yeah, I think about, I know this sounds silly, but like I have in the days since thought about how joyful I was in that moment and how I'm like, that's the Lacey I want to be out in the world. She is giving and not afraid to make a joke. She's just happy. My just off anesthesia, Sleepy Spice Lacey is now the Lacey that I am always striving to be.
That's a really long bumper sticker, but that would be hilarious.
And the other thing is it's also so funny because I have had I just really out of nowhere, I'm loving Dua Lipa. Like I've never particularly was into her before, but recently, like I watched her and Seth Meyers do their day drinking. And for some reason that has made her so endeared to me. And I didn't request this song. It just came on. And so this is where I'm just like, the universe is giving for me. And I am thanking it loud.
That is awesome.
I told it to Joe and he was like, did you request that? I was like, I did not. It's just beautiful accidents. And I'm going to take every one of them.
I love that. Oh, that makes my heart so happy. I love that.
Next week, our listeners are going to get to meet Tyra, our third participant. You'll get to hear more of Teresa's story in a couple of weeks. Thanks, Sarah.
Thank you, Lacey. Thanks for listening to No Shame in the Home Game. We hope you can take a little nugget of goodness to use in your own home. Remember to subscribe to the podcast in the player of your choice, like us on social media, rate and review, and share us with all of your friends, and maybe a couple of non-friends if you want. You can always visit joyfulsupportmovement.com to learn more about No Shame in the Home Game and other Joyful Support podcasts. While you're there, you can join the newsletter or sign up for the Joyful Support Village. Now go out there and spread some joy.